The rain had started as a whisper and turned into a steady downpour by the time. Daniel Harper locked the small grocery store behind him. Neon lights from the pharmacy across the street shimmered on the wet pavement, bending and breaking like tired reflections. Daniel pulled his jacket tighter, not because of the cold, but because his daughter's small hand tightened around his own. Lily was 6, all bones and big eyes, with a pink backpack that looked too bright for the gray evening. She had insisted on carrying it herself, even though it held nothing more than a library book and a half-eaten packet of crackers. They were almost home when Lily stopped walking. "Daddy," she whispered, tugging his sleeve. Daniel looked down, distracted, already thinking about reheating leftover soup and checking Lily's homework. "What is it, sweetheart?" She didn't answer right away. Her eyes were fixed on the alley beside the closed bakery. The smell of old bread and damp cardboard drifted out, mixed with something sharper, fear maybe, or desperation. Daniel followed her gaze and saw a woman on the ground, her back pressed against the brick wall, her hands raised in front of her face. 2 men stood over her, their voices low but aggressive, their laughter sharp and ugly. Daniel's body reacted before his mind did. His first instinct was to turn away, to shield Lily, to keep walking. He was a single father with a fragile routine, a job that barely paid the bills, and a daughter who depended on him for everything. Trouble was a luxury he couldn't afford. But Lily squeezed his hand harder. "Daddy, please help her," she said. Her voice didn't shake. It was small, but it was steady, the kind of steadiness that came from a place of absolute belief. Daniel felt something crack open inside his chest. He had raised Lily to be kind, to notice people, to care. He had told her stories about doing the right thing even when it was hard. Now those stories were standing in front of him, demanding to be real. "Stay here," he whispered, crouching to Lily's level. "Don't move. Don't matter what happens." She nodded, her eyes wide but trusting. Daniel stepped into the alley. "Hey," he called out, his voice louder than he felt. "That's enough." The men turned, surprised, annoyed. One of them smirked, taking a step toward Daniel. "Mind your business," he said. "This doesn't concern you." "It concerns me," Daniel replied, his heart pounding so hard he could feel it in his throat. "Let her go." The second man laughed, a short, cruel sound. "Or what?" Daniel didn't answer. He moved. Years ago, before life had narrowed into work shifts and school lunches, Daniel had trained. Nothing fancy, nothing heroic. Just a few years of self-defense classes after a rough patch in his 20s. He had hoped he'd never need them again. Now his body remembered what his mind barely had time to process. The first man lunged. Daniel sidestepped, using the man's momentum against him, sending him crashing into a stack of empty crates. The second man swung wildly, anger replacing amusement. Daniel blocked, twisted, and forced the man off balance. It was fast and messy and terrifying, but it worked. Within seconds, that felt like hours. Both men were on the ground, groaning, more shocked than seriously hurt. "Go!" Daniel snapped at them. "Now!" They didn't need to be told twice. They scrambled up and ran, their footsteps fading into the rain. The alley fell silent except for Daniel's heavy breathing. He turned to the woman. She was shaking, her hair plastered to her face with rain, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Are you okay?" he asked, lowering his voice. She nodded, tears mixing with rain on her cheeks. I think so. Thank you." I didn't know what to do. Daniel offered his hand and helped her up. Only then did he realize his hands were trembling too. From the mouth of the alley, Lily peeked in. "Daddy?" she called softly. "I'm here," Daniel said quickly. "It's okay." The woman followed his gaze and saw Lily. Something in her expression shifted. Relief, gratitude, and something deeper, heavier. "You have a brave little girl," she said quietly. Daniel managed a tired smile. "She gets that from her mom." They walked the woman to the main street, waited with her until a passing police car slowed and stopped. Daniel gave a brief statement, careful, measured. He didn't want attention. He didn't want praise. He just wanted to go home. The officers took notes, thanked him, and drove off with the woman wrapped in a blanket. Daniel took Lily's hand again and headed home. That night, after Lily fell asleep clutching her stuffed rabbit, Daniel sat alone at the kitchen table. The rain tapped against the window like restless fingers. His body ached, but his mind wouldn't settle. He replayed the alley over and over, wondering how close he had come to disaster, how thin the line was between safety and loss. He didn't know that somewhere across the city, In a penthouse office overlooking the skyline, a woman with sharp eyes and a composed expression was staring at a report, her fingers frozen against the glass of her tablet. She was the CEO of one of the largest companies in the country, and she was looking for him. Isabella Cole had built her life on control. Control over her company, her schedule, her image. At 38, she was known for decisive leadership and an almost intimidating calm. Very few people knew what fear looked like on her face. The woman from the alley was her younger sister, Sophia. Isabella had arrived at the hospital minutes after the call, her heels clicking too loudly on the sterile floor, her heart racing in a way it hadn't since their parents died years ago. Sophia had been shaken but unharmed, repeating the same words over and over. "He saved me," she kept saying. "A man, a father." His little girl asked him to help. The next morning, Isabella sat in her office, the city waking up below her, listening as her head of security summarized the incident. "We have a name," he said. "Daniel Harper. Works part-time at a distribution warehouse. Single father. No criminal record." Isabella nodded slowly. "Find him." By the time Daniel dropped Lily off at school the next day, exhaustion hung on him like a second coat. He hadn't slept much, and every unexpected sound made his shoulders tense. He told himself it would pass, that life would slide back into its narrow, predictable track. He was wrong. When he returned to his apartment building, a black sedan was parked out front. It didn't belong there. A woman stepped out as he approached, dressed simply but expensively, her posture straight, her gaze direct. "Daniel Harper?" she asked. "Yes," he said cautiously. "My name is Isabella Cole," she said. "I'd like to talk to you." He blinked, trying to place the name. When it clicked, his stomach dropped. He had seen her on magazine covers and grocery checkout lines, her face associated with power and wealth so distant it barely felt real. "I don't think I can help you," he said. She studied him for a moment, then softened her expression. "You already did," she replied. "Yesterday, you saved my sister." Daniel swallowed. "I just did what anyone would do." Isabella shook her head. "No, you did what someone brave did." They sat on a bench near the building, the morning sun warming the damp air. Isabella listened as Daniel spoke about Lily, about trying to raise her right, about fear and responsibility, and the strange clarity that had come when his daughter asked him to help. "I'm not here to cause trouble," Isabella said when he finished. "I want to thank you, and I want to make sure you understand what you did matters." She offered him help, financial support, a better job, opportunities Daniel had never imagined. He listened politely, then surprised both of them by shaking his head. "I appreciate it," he said, "really. But I don't want Lily growing up thinking you do the right thing for a reward." Isabella felt something shift inside her. She had expected gratitude, maybe awe. She hadn't expected this quiet, unshakable integrity. "There is one thing you can do," Daniel added, "if you really want to help." She raised an eyebrow. "Name it." "Help the people who don't have anyone to step in for them," he said. "Not just because of me, because it's right." Isabella smiled then, a real smile, not the practiced one she used in boardrooms. "I think we can do that," she said. Over the following weeks, Isabella did more than keep her word. She funded new safety initiatives in the city, expanded support programs for vulnerable communities, and quietly made sure Daniel's warehouse job turned into a stable, well-paying position with flexible hours. Daniel never became famous. His name never trended. Life didn't turn into a fairy tale, but it became steadier, warmer, more secure. One evening, months later, Daniel and Lily walked past the same alley. It was cleaner now, better lit. Lily looked up at him. "Daddy?" she asked. "Yes, sweetheart. I'm glad you helped her." Daniel smiled, squeezing her hand. "Me too." Above them, the city hummed with 1,000 unseen stories, most of them unnoticed. But sometimes Daniel knew the smallest voices, the ones that said please and meant it, were the ones that changed everything.